Hello, my friends, and welcome to another special bonus episode of the Highly Sensitive Happily Married podcast, where once again you won't be hearing too much from me, but from a whole collection of my past clients. I have compiled here for you today little snippets of my clients talking about their experience coaching with me, and most specifically, what things were like before they started coaching with me and how things changed while coaching with me, and their words of encouragement and words of advice for you. I have been telling you a lot about my work over the years, and I really just wanted you to hear it from my actual clients' mouths with their voice and their energy, so you could really hear real life women just like you who are doing this work and changing their lives and their marriages for the so much better. I ultimately really want you to take from this some true hope and encouragement for your own marriage and what's possible, sense of what's possible for you to shift in your life. Now, one of the things I hope that you take from this is that I do want you to feel more hope, but I think it's important, as I've talked about recently on a recent podcast episode, that kind of passive hope isn't what creates the shifts that you're going to hear these women talk about. What actually creates these kinds of shifts is commitment, putting yourself into the changes you want to make, being proactive and getting targeted help and support to make these shifts and changes, because let's face it, it's a lot harder to do on your own and by trial and error. And I would say that's really a huge factor in why these women were able to make the changes they did. They didn't just do it by trial and error. They got my very targeted help. So if you also want to make your marriage feel so much better and be so much happier, as you'll hear these women say, definitely come join Treasured. We just have a couple of weeks left of the enrollment period, so now is definitely the time to learn more about it and sign up. To do so, check out the link in the show notes or go over to www.lifeisworthloving.com and click the Work With Me Treasured tab. So the first three people you'll hear from are people whose voices may be familiar to you. They were in the last bonus podcast. These are three participants of my last round of Treasured, Emma, Sonia, and Rocky, not actually in that order. And then you'll hear some smaller snippets from past interviews that were here on this podcast. So my clients, you'll hear from Kim, Lauren, Lori, Jade, and Catherine, and Luann, and then some more words of encouragement from all of them, or most of them. May this inspire you for what's possible for you. Enjoy.
I had learned that I was highly sensitive and felt so much clarity about myself with that knowledge, and yet I still was having so much trouble in my relationship. It was really bothering me, and it was making my life feel smaller and smaller. My partner and I had a lot of years of feedback loops between us that led to more hurt and more pain and more disconnection. And sometimes it felt like it was impossible to break out of those patterns. The more we tried to address them together, in some ways it felt like the worse they became. Since participating in Treasured, I have a lot of tools available to me. And I have a holistic sense of what it feels like when I'm integrating those tools and using them in a powerful combination to help myself feel more calm and connected to my partner and to myself more and more of the time. I'm finding since coaching with Hannah that the more I support myself, take care of myself, like revel in the joy of being myself and being with myself, the more ease and lightness I'm able to have in my relationship with my partner. I found that I was a lot better able to actually disconnect a bit from my partner in terms of the process of shifting those patterns and focus a lot more on my own side of the street. And once I started to be able to do that more and more, I found that actually my partner and I were able to connect a lot better and improve the quality of our relating, rather than just constantly trying to go in with each other and solve the problems together.
After coaching one-on-one with Hannah, I felt like I had a lot of tools and I could see the growth that I had made, but I decided to do the treasured group because I was still having some challenges with very generally accepting myself, who I am, what I need, accepting my partner for who he is and what he needs. And actually, a big one probably was realizing when I'm emotionally activated and knowing when to not talk, not follow through on that, and when to wait till later after I've calmed down and processed a little bit. I made assumptions about my partner that weren't accurate, but they were coming from my perception, and I was making a lot of judgments about how he is and not accepting who he is. And that was causing a lot of conflict. The emotions were really discouragement and just feeling like this isn't going to work because he's so insensitive, or just doesn't, he's just won't do what I think he should do, and it makes me feel bad. So it was a lot of discouragement and some anger and frustration in there too, and sadness. And then on the other side, I was also overriding important things that I needed because I wasn't truly accepting who I was. And then I would override that and then resent it later. So both of those things were resulting in a lot of conflict. And honestly, right before I started the treasured group with Hannah, I had an incident that happened where I was actually questioning whether to stay in the marriage or not, and was really in despair about that. After the treasured group and making some of these changes, I feel more hopefulness, and more pleasure in the relationship and in my alone time that I carve out. So I feel more pleasure and get more enjoyment from the parts of my life, not in my relationship, and also the parts in my relationship. I definitely laugh more with my partner, and feel like we have more fun. And I also feel more love and appreciation. And I also feel more pride too, because I feel pride when I know that I'm acting in a way that's also making the relationship feel better and him feel better. It's been life-changing. After being in the treasured group, I find that I accept myself more, specifically the HSP stuff, but generally too. And I kind of catch when I'm not doing that, when I'm comparing myself to others and thinking, oh, I should be able to do this, or, I shouldn't need that. And talking to other HSP women, it was even more reinforced that the need to, and the benefit of really tuning in to how I am and what I need, and what kind of choices make me most thrive and have the best life. So that's been a big one. I'm also better at tuning into how my partner might be feeling, and how he is, and how to be there for him. And I give him, not always great at this or perfect, but I give him more encouragement and compliments and appreciation and fun kind of conversation. There's less conflict and more less negative interaction, more positive interaction, less conflict. I don't make assumptions so as much about him, and because I don't override things that are important to me, then I don't have a lot of resentment, or don't have resentment that can result in conflict. And also, I would say, after being in the treasure group with other HSP women and learning from them, I learned, and I become better at sensitively explaining to others, who I am, why I'm making the choices that I am, especially when they might disappoint them, or they might be something they don't expect. So that's been a huge benefit too. I feel like I can handle, there are challenges, can be challenges. I get upset, I get emotional, but I feel like I have this base, or this really strong foundation that I can dip back into and tune back into, and when I need it. And that's just, invaluable.
Before I started coaching one-on-one with Hannah, I was in a committed relationship with a man, and we were considering him moving in with me. And that was very difficult for me. Where I was emotionally was similar to where I was with my prior marriage. I was feeling the same way that I had felt in that marriage. And so I knew something wasn't quite, I hate to use the word right, but it just, something wasn't clicking with me. And so I struggled with the relationship, with my now husband moving in with me. I really felt like I thought that I was the one who wasn't capable of being in a committed or a marriage or committed relationship. I thought the highly sensitive parts of me it just wasn't, the marriage and the highly sensitive part just did not go together. I thought this was me. This is all me. He's a lovely man. He's very kind and generous and nice. And I'm behaving the same way that I behaved with my prior marriage. And so then, of course, I thought it has to be me. These are two different men. And this is a new relationship, not a very, long one that I had. So the circumstances between the men were so different, and yet I was the same. And so I really thought that being highly sensitive and happily married, or happily in a committed relationship, were just not able to go together. I just thought the two things, you just couldn't put them together. And so I wasn't very happy. I was questioning everything about me and what I was putting into the relationship. And we were in conflict often, and I was short-tempered and impatient, and I felt stressed, and all sorts of negative feelings. It was not a pleasant place to be. And had I not started coaching with Hannah, he and I may have not moved in together, and we most certainly would not be married right now. After Treasured, we celebrated 6 months of marriage, and I also have retired from work. Things are calm. They're more loving and generous and kind, and it's just been fun and nice. He and I really enjoy the time that we have together, and we spend a lot of time together. And we enjoy all of it. So it's a fun time in our lives, and we're both doing really well. Even if I get triggered initially, I'm more able to take a breath. I'm able to use the techniques and skills I learned to recognize what that trigger is, and act from it in a more wise way than I would have had done 6 months ago, or before I even started coaching with Hannah on the one-on-one. Certainly before then. And another thing that I do see right now, after having finished Treasured and throughout Treasured, discussing the tools and skills that I am learning and practicing them with my husband, what I'm noticing is that he's starting to speak the language. He is starting to be less triggered as well. And he himself has had some aha moments, like, oh, this is what is happening here. This is where this is coming from. And so that is very different than from, the beginning when we first started Treasured. His awareness has increased significantly.
It has been life-changing. And I know that I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you. I wouldn't be here in a way that I'm showing up at my best. And for that, I know that I don't have enough words of gratitude for how much my life has changed.
Not only did I come home to a vacuumed house, but I came home to the laundry being done, a cooked meal, and the biggest welcome home hug, and he just couldn't stop kissing me, and it was just so nice and so sweet.
I love it.
So that was really, really, really special for someone, because some women can relate to this, I suppose. My man's he's not like an overly touchy-feely person. He's not an overly emotional person. He's a real blokey bloke, he's a real man. And so when I came home to that, it was just like, oh.
Our relationship has this sense of calm, groundedness, safety, really feeling like a team. And, in its best moments, like you said, feeling like a dream incubator where we can co-create a life vision together and share ideas about what we're each, desiring and longing to do and work on, whether that's in our relationship or in our professional lives. And that, I think, is the ultimate expression of our love and security in our relationship, is when you feel safe enough to dream together. And that is really a dream come true for me. And it's just been beautiful to sort of exist in that space together and see how it's really blossomed, especially since getting to work with you. There's a lot of seeking external validation in my job too. So that the work we've been doing in my romantic relationship has really created a beautiful sort of translation into other aspects of my life.
I've always been a helper because of my highly sensitive nature. But being in this work has truly taught me what compassion feels like, in order to be able to truly give it to others, and also in a way without overextending myself, because I'm also having self-compassion now too.
Yes.
So I can set boundaries, and that way I can continue to show up as my best when I know that I love myself enough to give myself break if I need to. I'm not just pouring from an empty cup anymore, which is what I was doing before.
I get to still be all of me and all of my wiggly, wobbly emotionality, but it's tempered with calmness that doesn't dull it at all, but it just makes it so that I'm not reactive, that I can respond intentionally when I have things that come up that need responding to, or that are emotional situations I'm in. I feel like I can plant myself and move from a more grounded place, a more loving place from me. So I can be kinder to people too, more forgiving and compassionate.
You know, when I wake up in the morning, one of the first things that happens is he'll go and make the coffee every day. And, I'll be the one, laying there in bed for a few more moments. And, I start my day just going, wow, oh my gosh, I have this guy who every morning will get up for me and make me an awesome cup of coffee. If it's nice, we will go for a walk together. And, that was, one of the things that was a burden before. We would go for a walk and I would be thinking, things like, why isn't he talking to me? Why isn't he saying anything? What's going on in his head? And now I just go for a walk with him and I look around and I think about how beautiful it is. And, we'll comment on the birds and I'll just enjoy that he wants to take a walk with me. And I'll think, man, this guy wants to be with me every day and he really enjoys taking a walk with me. Just have a lot more control over my own thoughts and feelings now. And I can leave my partner, my fiance be. I can leave him alone and just let him do his own thing. It doesn't have to be constantly me wanting to change what he's doing like it had been in the past. I can actually take his strengths, which some of them are things that I've learned from him.
I'm just a lot happier. Like in our marriage, it's allowed us to have just like better and deeper conversations where like we can actually discuss our feelings. My husband has been more open with his like what he's thinking and like how he feels about certain things. And I've learned to be more vulnerable, which has helped our conversations a lot. And I think that really just comes down to like there just being more trust between us. Like he knows that I'm now capable of listening and having things to say. And like that's just a huge change from like how it used to be. And for myself, I feel and think better about myself than I have in a long time. More at ease and calm than I have been in a long time. Had all been things I've been trying to work on for a while or knew I needed to work on. But having a coach was, able to provide ideas and evaluate like why I was acting in some ways that I just couldn't really see great. And then having that sounding board and someone who understands and is similar to me helped to change my thoughts and like actions over time. I'm just in a much happier, much better place with both myself and my relationship than I was, like 6-7 months ago. And I really like want other sensitive women to like be able to feel that, as well as just kind of feel like less stuck in their life. Because that's what I felt before, I felt kind of stuck, like it wasn't going to change and it was hopeless. And that's how I felt in my marriage. And that just wasn't like a great place to be. Having a coach and like get you feeling like better soon.
As HSPs, I think we have like so much to bring to the world that we don't realize because we are so reflective and insightful, and we really are so serious about wanting to get to a better place. So what I think once you really learn about the internal control that we have over our own well-being and how we can really like using the tools and things I learned during coaching, we have so much of an ability to become our own internal friends. And we through that you can have so much more awareness of your own thoughts and feelings, and how you can how they can bring you power into all of your relationships, and in particular your spouse, or your significant other. And you really do have a choice every day in how you react to the things going on around you.
It has exceeded my expectations, and you've helped me exceed my own expectations. And I really sincerely wish this for every woman out there, especially all of the highly sensitive women. I hope you will feel curious at minimum, or encouraged to get in touch with Hannah if you don't already work with her, and know that it is just an incredible journey you will be going on, and you will feel so proud of yourself about the work that you're going to do, and the change that you are going to create in your own life.
If more people learned what you've been able to teach people, what you've been able to teach me, I think it would be a better world.
One thing I've really appreciated about Treasured is having a chance to put some of the lessons and principles and ideas that run all throughout Hannah's teachings into practice, and noticing where the things I want to believe are rubbing up against the way that I'm actually living or not living my values. Being able to just troubleshoot and bounce ideas off of Hannah and the other folks in the group, being able to have some insight and input on what I might not be seeing, what might be in a spot of invisibility for me, has really helped me ground my day-to-day life with myself and with my partner in my values more deeply than I think I would have been able to just passively consuming content. The coaching provides really clear step-by-step instructions for actions you can take to improve conditions in the present. And taking those actions builds a sense of confidence in one's own ability to make change. And I think that that's powerful when you're trying to shift deep-seated patterns.
You're not going to be exempt from those negative thoughts, but if you have the tools, you will get over it quicker, and you'll go straight back to feeling super connected with your partner or your husband. The coaching really helps me. Yeah. It really helped me because I had that support. And even though we only got to work together for 6 months, I will have the tools in my toolkit to be able to rely on. And I don't know if I would have had those so readily if I didn't have your guidance. Because, as emotional and sensitive people, it's a little more challenging.
Yes, I hear you.
But it is also, so beautiful as well. So, I mean, we feel things so deeply.
Yeah.
So in those moments where we are feeling really close to our husbands and things like that, it just feels.
Don't hesitate. Not one tiny bit. If you are struggling in your marriage, if it is not the marriage you hoped it would be, don't hesitate. You have zero to lose and absolutely so much to gain. Your investment, your monetary investment, your time investment, it will be so worth it. I have a lot of experience with investing my money and time, and I can tell you this was one of the best, if not the best investment of both that I have ever made. You would not just be doing this for yourself. You are doing it for your marriage. You're doing it for your husband. You're doing it for your spouse, and you're doing it for your future as well. You will reap the benefits of this learning and this coaching for months and years down the road. It is an investment that will pay high dividends for you. So if you are anywhere on the fence, don't be, just go do it. Go do it.
I will let these women's words speak for themselves. And I hope to see you in this round of Treasured. Learn all the details and enroll at www.lifeisworthloving.com/treasured, or just head down to the link in the show notes for this podcast. You will be oh so well when you join us.